right, guys. So welcome to episode number 5. Yes, number 5 with Dominic Cardone, the kid from Brooklyn, who's now in California. So he's gonna come up with a new name. So I know Dom for a while now. Dom's actually my coach for a long time. We became good friends. He's very real. I support him 110%. I kind of wanted to get him out here so you guys can kind of meet him and also get different perspectives from real pro bodybuilders and things like that. So I'm gonna leave it off to you, Dom. Let people know who you are. Basically, what got you into even bodybuilding, just in general. Like, who are you? In case somebody's watching and they're like, all right, who's this guy right here?
Yeah. So basically, like Pat said before, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I'm actually just moved out to Vegas, but we'll get into that. I got into weight training when I was 15. I was actually playing football, and I love football. I was getting ready for my sophomore year, going into my sophomore year, and it was going to be a big season. They were going to put me as middle linebacker, and I started training in the gym. And I'll never forget, about a month before school ended, they were closing down the gym. So I'm like, okay, my dad let me sign up at the local Gold's Gym. And a month and a half after I got into weight training, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I want to play football anymore. And the reason is I was always very big into researching and learning things on my own. And I was on YouTube, was just really getting started. I would go on the internet, bodybuilding.com. And I remember I seen video, there was just Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler on YouTube at the time. I'll never forget it. I thought there was only 2 bodybuilders in the entire world. And, so I remember I would see Ronnie Coleman do the 2,300-pound leg press, whatever it was, and Jay, and I'm like, I'm going to do what they do. Now, mind you, I didn't know competing was even a thing yet. I'm like, I thought these were just huge guys who lift a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So, and it was time went on, a few months go on. It went on to me actually hiring AJ Sims as my first ever coach, and I was 15, even before I turned 16. And I just wanted abs. I just want abs. And, I did that. And then eventually, a little bit after that, I met my good friend Mike Jarovic. Mike is actually the owner of Condemn Labs, sold at Aries Nutrition as well.
Yep.
That's my best friend right there. And he took me under his wing when I was 15 in the gym, brought me around the circle of bodybuilders in the gym, introduced us to my first bodybuilding coach, which was Fackery. And I went on to compete for the first time when I was 16. And I'll never forget, I was that bug stung me pretty hard because, I won the teen class. I beat a 19-year-old. I placed 5th in the open, 4th in the novice light heavyweight. And there was, that was a Metropolitan, so it was a pretty tough show. And it was all history really from there. I fell in love with it right off the bat. And I was pretty good at it. I won, went on to, when I was 18, I did the Easterns. Mm-hmm. I won a team class there again. I won the novice class there. I placed 5th in the open behind Mikey Avalon, Brandon Green, my friend Mike, Marco Rivera. That was a very eye-opening show. I got my first sponsorship at that show, which was Gaspari Nutrition. I then went on to do teen nationals when I was 19. I won my class, but I lost the overall to Cody Montgomery. And I had no intentions of turning pro until I was 26, 27. You look back in history, guys turning pro anywhere between maybe 25, 32. Yeah. And I didn't want to do nationals. So whatever, 2014 comes. And I was going to do the Eastern. So I only did Bev Francis shows. I lived in New York. You compete at BMCC. Those are the best shows in my mind. And I did the Easterns. And I won my class. And I won the overall at 21. And Chad Nichols, my coach at the time, said, I think you should do nationals. And I'll never forget. I'm like, all right, I guess. I had a sponsor at the time. It was GAT. And I was like, all right, they'll pay for me to go there. And I had no intentions of winning, but I, of course, went there very positive, and I trained those 2 weeks after Easterns to win. But I went there, I was a 21-year-old kid. I didn't have no expectations of myself. Well, I get there, and it was just, I have goosebumps talking about this story because it was such a crazy weekend. And we get to the show, and you go through the process and everything, and I'll never forget, I'm backstage. And, you look around backstage, your first national level show, and I didn't know either to shit or go blind. I'm like, what am I doing here? So now the heavyweight class gets called up. And, of course, I got to be thrown right in the shit of things. So I'm pumping up right next to Alexis Roulon. Mm-hmm. And to my left of me, I have Michael Lockett. And they're huge. And I'm looking at them. Me and Alexis formed a friendship 6 weeks before the show because he kept telling me, do nationals Facebook. And I was like, he goes, why? He goes, you're going to turn pro. So we're pumping up. I'm looking. I'm like, I see Michael Lockett's arm in my face. I'm like, fuck. I see Alexis to my right. I'm like, what the hell am I even pumping up for? What am I doing here? So who walks in? Now, I always looked up to John Meadows. John Meadows has been a great I would even call him a mentor for me ever since I was 18. And he would always offer me some of the best advice I've ever been given. He always looked out for me. I loved how he was a family guy. He was about business. And John Meadows walks in, and you could hear a pin. I got to share this whole story. You could hear a pin drop. It got so quiet in there. So John walks in. He goes over to the corner. Everybody's watching the corner there. I turned around. I just wanted to see what was about to happen.
Yeah.
And he goes in the corner, and this motherfucker drops his pants and moons everybody. He didn't drop it. And John.
This is John?
This is John. And
wow.
He was peeled. I mean, he took those pants off, and you see him bent over in the corner, and you're looking at his hamstring, his glutes, and you're just like, you couldn't help but to stare. And again, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? But it was cool. And then there was 34 guys in my class, and I'm the last in line. And I'd never forget. I just look over everybody's shoulder. It's just mounds of muscle, at least in my eyes. And I was thinking I'm the skinniest guy there. So, we go for the call out to do the individuals, you do the comparison about when I'm about to re-walk out again. Eric Ramirez runs backstage. He goes, yo, you look crazy. You're going to win. And I'm like, Eric always hyped me up since I was 18. And we were sponsored by Gaspari together. And so I'm all right, whatever, Eric. And then I go out on stage, and I got first call out. They called me right to the middle. And, that was it. They had me in second place, slated to go into finals. And they brought us into finals. We posed for about 8 minutes straight with re-comparisons. I wound up winning the class and almost beating Alexis for the overall. And that's where I won my pro card. 2014 Nationals. I won the heavyweight class. I was 21. Speed up a little bit through time. The last I competed was 2016, and that was the New York Pro. And I'm not going to go into the whole story of it. Anyways, my mom died 2 weeks before. She was going through cancer for 2 years. I lived in the ICU for 6 weeks out from that show. Oscar Arnold would bring my meals to the city, train me in the city, and I was like 204 pounds a day after the show. My body was just a wreck, and I fell off for a long time. I had a lot of mental stuff going on for a while. I got lost with a lot of unhealthy ways to cope with what I went through mentally, which I didn't really know how to let out these things I was internalizing. And I fell away from bodybuilding for a long time. And then, thank God, Joe Bindley, who sponsors me, Project AD, he gave me a little tough love about 2.5 years ago. And he said, Dom, he goes, you've been coaching people, as a side thing. He goes, you have so much potential once you can do it full time. And ever since then, it became my full-time job. And I live out here in Vegas now, which I'm going to get back into competing. But that's the basic rundown of me, how I got into competing, and where I've been competition-wise.
I remember the first time I ever seen a picture of you. So I was bouncing at the time, and then there was a guy I worked with. We usually worked side by side, and this fucker was huge. So he was into bodybuilding. Me and him, we always talk bullshit. And I remember one time he went to the phone. He's like, "Look at this fucking guy. His legs are crazy. How is he like?" I remember he was bringing it up as, "How is this guy like in the top running?" And I remember I seen your picture. It was the one we were in the kitchen. That you took from the kitchen, and I'm like, how the fuck is this even possible? And then I remember like later on we were me and him were talking again. He's like, yo, this dude won. So, and it was so funny, like, because that's when I first learned about you, and then later it didn't even start clicking till I finally started working with you. When I started like looking into you and everything like that, I was like, oh my God, it's the same fucking person. Now you said you were with 34 people. Now, when you were called out, you were the last one called out in the row, because they used to go 5, 5, 5, 5.
Yeah. So at the national level show, basically, I don't think they do it. They don't really do this at the bigger local shows because too many people. So you go out, you do your individual. Everybody does a 30-second individual, spin you around, and then you go out in your group. So it is groups of 5 or 6.
So they did the individual first.
Yeah, individual first. They take a look at everybody, and then you do the group comparisons. You go back, then everybody lines up on the stage, and then begins the call-outs.
Gotcha. Because I remember when the last national show I've been out and seen, it was they would call in rows, but they wouldn't do. I don't remember them doing the individuals, so you don't really get. You kind of like after the first 2 rows or 3 rows, you can kind of get lost in the mix.
Yeah,
But now, if you're saying that they did that in the first routine up front, and it's like more representation, so it kind of catches them in their heads, so
exactly.
they already know what they're looking for when everybody starts coming out.
Exactly. So it's a little harder to get lost in the mix that way because, you're seeing everybody individually, okay, and then, they mark down, I guess, whoever interests them, and then you get the group comparisons, see everybody all at once, and then the actual call outs. And yeah, I was last. I'll never forget. I was last in that line.
Damn, that's crazy. That and then John, I forget. How did John Mendoza? He was doing the Masters just that time, right? Masters, so he was in a.
So this was national, so there was no masters class. Did John get in the top 5? I don't believe John made top 5 that year, even though he should have. John didn't. John didn't get the. I mean, that he was nasty, man. I think he may have been. Yeah, he wasn't in the top 5. He may have been 6, just right outside the top 5, because he wasn't that first big call out. And yeah, they didn't give him. He was getting a lot of shows that weren't going his way.
Yeah,
His shape at the time, his waist was a bit different, and then he transformed himself for a couple years after that. But I'll never forget seeing him.
yeah. Because when I was talking to him, I know he was saying it took him 16 years to finally get his pro card, and then when he finally got it, the first couple of shows he did, he was like getting in the top 5, back
Yeah,
and forth.
you don't forget too with him, he was competing in the time where it's much different than it's been the last 6 years. I mean, that you had every call out was just nasty in all the national level shows, and he was competing with dudes that were a lot bigger than him, and he had to bring in
Yeah,
that condition. But when he turned pro, he started. I remember him saying he started getting a lot of nerve sensation back in his stomach from his surgery. That's why his abs were a bit very off
yeah.
for a while. He brought his midsection down. His shape got a lot better, and that's why he turned pro. His condition was always there. It was just his shape and how everything tied into his waistline.
Gotcha. That's what held him back a little bit. Now, let people know a little bit when you were, because again, you were 16, then 18, then 19, then 20. What was your lifestyle going? You're national, going into nationals, you're going into these shows. What was your lifestyle
So
like?
I lived, eat, and breathe bodybuilding. I'm not gonna lie. My off seasons, I made sure I lived a little bit. You know what I'm saying? If I wanted to go out and party, I went out and partied. If I wanted to go on a date with a girl, I went on a date with a girl. But I always made sure every meal had to be got. I made sure I had to get every meal in, and no training sessions were ever missed. Every training session was balls to the wall. And of course, I took time off of things here or there too, of course. But could I have been more strict? Yeah. However, I don't regret anything because obviously I turned pro, number one. And then number 2 is I enjoyed myself where, a kid should enjoy himself.
Right.
Now I'm at a point in my life where that stuff doesn't even faze me, but it was bodybuilding year round for sure.
And now you were working full time too at the time?
So up until I finished high school, summers I would work with my dad doing concrete, and usually weekends. He gave me that ability to be able to work for him doing decorative concrete. Then when I graduated, we opened up a supplement store with my friend Mike. That lasted a few years. And then when the supplement store closed, I then worked for Natural Body, managing a couple of the stores because they bought one of our stores. But whenever I wasn't in the supplement store before and after that, it was doing decorative concrete. So most of the time I was doing decorative concrete. Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough, especially to retain anything when you're
I don't.
just
My dad hated to have me on job sites before a show. He's very high paced, very fast paced, especially with that work. It's not, union jobs they get their breaks throughout the day. They stop at a certain time. He's non-union, and when the job's done, it's done. That's how it was all our life since we were kids. So did it suck? Yeah. Do I miss it? Absolutely not. But I'm grateful to have been able to experience that.
right. A lot of people don't realize what hard work is unless they actually put through hard work, and that creates a lot of structure to somebody, especially if you're doing all that shit and then getting all your meals in,
Oh yeah, it was
and the training and
wake
everything.
wake up in the morning, go do cardio, go to the shop, go to the job site for the day. You could be home anywhere between 7, 10 at night. Still got to cook your meals and go to the gym and just go back at it the next day, you know?
Did you have a hard time falling asleep, or you just passed out a minute you got home? Because
I
sometimes because if you train that hard, your central nervous system will get hit, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, my parents would always like laugh. Like I could fly. I used to be able to fall asleep like on command. It doesn't matter where you are or what time it is. Like I'll fall asleep on command. And I guess I was just so tired that I would just knock out. I'll be able to sleep 5, 6 hours a night and get back at it the next day. Between the work and the training, and you know the way I love to train.
Yeah.
Now it's a bit different as I'm older, but yeah, no, I had no problem sleeping unless before the show you have your normal insomnia and stuff.
There's no way you can even you can't sleep before the shows. It's over.
Hormones, a low body fat, but and that really no problems.
Gotcha. Now we talk about the nationals. Your training, you used to train what, 4 or 5 times a week? Like how would you have regular splits? Did you always switch it up?
My split was always usually 5 times a week, and people call it a bro split, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's what I was taught by a lot of my mentors coming up, and it works. You hit everything once per week hard, and that's it. For a while, when I got my biggest before the New York Pro, where I should have been my biggest, I was training 4 times a week actually, and that I was training with Oscar Artem was training in the gym, and Chris Aceto was doing my diet, and it was heavy, hard with high volume. I mean, those workouts. I mean, people see my squat videos, my deadlift videos. The most I squatted was 6 plates and a quarter each side for 8. Then you do a quadruple drop set. Same thing with deadlifts. Everything was heavy, hard, high volume, in and out. But it was always a 4 or 5 day split. Nothing more than that usually. I always like to take Wednesdays off and Sundays off, split things up, and let the body rest, because sometimes we need more rest than we do training.
How do you feel that training versus all the fucking unique training, science trainings that's out there now? I mean, listen, man, when I walk into the corporate gym, all I see is a tripod, Gymshark outfits, or I call Baby Shark, and fucking more recording than anything else now. It's insane.
Dude, we'll go down this rabbit hole. That's big out here in Vegas, a lot of the gyms. You have everybody wearing a Gymshark apparel, taking selfies and shit. And even like the competitors, and it's like, dude, what the fuck, man? Like when I came up in that Gold's Gym in Mill Basin, I mean, I felt like a goldfish in a shark tank. I mean, guys were in there. They were, even if they didn't compete, they were ripping shit apart. Like everybody was in there fucking training. I mean, you had everybody in there. You had all races, whatever. Everybody all together just fucking killing you. You had guys from the not so good part of Brooklyn coming in there, and everybody would just grind it. And then I even watched that gym transfer throughout the years. And now it's like you have these, these people just like, and it shows in physiques, man. There's a reason why we don't see big legs and big back anymore. It's because, you're overtraining. You need to do this. Science says this. You need to do this weird movement or whatever. Get into the fucking gym and train your ass off. So I was taught this analogy, and I pass this on. If you want to look an abnormal way, you have to do abnormal things, and training-wise, training and food-wise. The whole other side of bodybuilding is the whole other side of bodybuilding. But you got to push it. You got to, like Oscar said, you got to force your body to do these fucking things. You can't go into the gym and do your couple sets and walk out and say it's because science told you so.
Right.
You got to go in there and just really just grind it out, man. And at the training part of me, I always loved training. Legs were always my favorite body part. It still is my favorite part of it all. And, the whole thing is killing it. It's a big part of why guys don't have that freak factor anymore.
I think they don't even care. I think it's just they're just more worried about the likes and the comments at the end of the day. And everybody that's fucking liking and commenting is like their hype. Is like their hype crowd. And they don't know fucking left from right when it comes to those things. Like,
I mean, we've seen everything. I love Instagram because it gives us a platform to keep in touch with people, build businesses and whatnot. But it has watered down what we do dramatically. When I first started, there was MySpace. But MySpace wasn't like that. Then when Facebook even started, it wasn't like that at first. It was everybody in the community keeping in touch with one another. It was cool.
Yeah.
We would meet guys in England and whatever. And once Instagram came out, that was really it. It's like, what really goes on behind somebody's phone is a lot of people just bullshitting to get, the applause online. And that's not what's going to do it on stage. And it's sad because, what you do behind closed doors is what's going to show on stage. And people think, and it sucks because team bodybuilding to me is a very big place in my heart because I was one, and I'm watching team bodybuilding die off very quick. It's dead.
It's bad. It is dead.
It's
dead. It is. I mean, I can think of Jersey and PA. I can only think of a handful of guys that I know that like they fucking go balls hard in the gym, and then everything else is trash.
That's what goes on, man. It's crazy what goes on, and because of this social media stuff, the science stuff. It's crazy how I would have a 16-year-old to a 19-year-old come to me for help, right? Me, when I was their age, you go to a pro or you go to somebody, you shut up, you listen, you take everything in. You don't know shit. Correct. Now you're coming to me, I think I have to take this. I need to do this. I got to do this. This is best for my body. And I always tell them, and usually they haven't competed before. And I say, all due respect. I'm like, have you competed before? No. All due respect. Have you been in shredded contest shape before? No. All due respect. Have you done anything competitive-wise that you've been planning to do? No. I'm like, so why do you think you have all the answers? And it's all because people are pumping each other up in social media, pumping people up with this complete bullshit about science and this and that. And it's like, just work fucking hard, man. I keep going on and on. You get the point.
Oh, I know. Because I could go the same way. I think also what I'm noticing is the not hard work and things like that. I think they're being awarded too much on a show levels, because I mean, I'm not sure back when you applied for the nationals, but now, like, you don't even have to win your class to fucking go to nationals. Like, I mean, and then like there's so many shows, and then there's those besides NPC, right? Which actually that's where you're actually going to compete versus people. You have all these other, like, a couple of people mentioned these new these new leagues, and I'm like, who the fuck even goes there? What is it, like 10 people on stage, and that's all you're competing with? And then you get 15 trophies you put on social media, and everybody high fives you, and you're an online coach like the next 2 days. And I was even talking to John Meadows about this. Even when you go into, like, you have bikini, you have physique, you have classic. Like, I think classic was a great addition, but don't place somebody, like, say if somebody does classic and bodybuilding on a show, don't give them good placings in both categories. Like, purposely.
I don't believe there should be crossovers.
No, purposely put them. Now I get it. Look, like in the amateur side, you're trying to figure out which direction you could possibly go. Well, at that point, if you think about it that way, shouldn't the judge be responsible to help these individuals pick the right road by basically judging them by what their physique is, right? Versus you just want your classic physique class and you just want your bodybuilding class too. Okay, so what do I do? You know what I mean?
Well, that totally throws out having a different criteria for both.
Right, exactly.
Where the criteria go, it's like, okay, why do we have different classes if he's winning both and placing well in both? Yeah,
and that's like the simple one. I mean, you can get more into like the fucking craziness with bikini and figure. Like, that's just a big pile of random what the hell. It's like you can come in shredded one day and you win, and next day you come in shredded and you're like, no, you're at the last at the end rack.
I've experienced that with clients before, and that's why honestly I don't really advertise that I take on female clients as much. With the female classes, I only really take them on if there's somebody's girlfriend or wife, or they're really recommended, because I get very, very frustrated. I mean, my passion is with the men. So if a female comes to me, she has to be able to just take whatever I give to her and just really kill it. But two, it's the frustration in the classes. And like, I've had one girl, she competed, and you look at her, you'll be, why isn't she in the top 5? And they're just not giving her a top 5 placing at all. And one show, she goes, okay, she's too shredded. I'm like, all right, how is this? Well, you look at the comparisons, too shredded. First off, she was not. She was in amazing shape. How is she supposed to look? Are you telling her to get fatter? Right. So whatever. We were not changing that. She said, Dom, I love how I look. I'm not changing that for anybody. Let's just keep doing what we're doing, and let's see what happens. So I'm all about that. So we do another show a month later. We didn't hear nothing about conditioning. and this is the same judge. What do we hear about? Her glutes are too muscular.
Wow.
I was like, dude, I get so frustrated thinking about this. And, you know, it's like, what are we doing here? You know, so that's where I stand on those classes. I feel bad for those girls. I do.
I feel bad for bikini. I feel bad for regular physique, for example, because is it okay? Do we want shredded and big, or do we want shredded? I'm interested to see what they're gonna go with, how they're gonna play out with wellness, because that could be a shit show too. Like you can kind of go wellness physique, similar look, right, where it's like fucking muscle and shredded, or you can kind of go bikini wellness where it's softer with the structure. So, and of course they're going to rape these girls for money because they're going to do bikini wellness and figure all at the same time. They're going to get their money, they're going to place them in all three, and they're going to be so lost.
But we know where wellness is going to go, and it sucks because physique, when it first came out, it was like full-blown beach bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have bodybuilders going up. Like some of these physique guys, they're big, dude. They're big and they're peeled. Yeah. Same thing with women's physique. Even bikini. Bikini, when it first came out, I remember the first Miss Olympia, Bikini Olympia, I think her name was Nicole. Was it Nicole Negrani? I don't know how to remember that. And it was just a regular looking girl who was in good shape. And now it's like, you know, some of these girls are like, what, like, they're just insanely peeled. So the thing with wellness, it's like, I mean, I'm all about the wellness they have in South America.
Correct.
Amazing look, like the big legs. They're on the softer side, but they also have the genetics for that too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in a whole different mindset of training. Here, I know it's going to be.
Yeah, they really are. Listen, those girls were out trained.
I know you looked into it personally, so I know you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those girls, oh my God, they will out fucking train majority of the girls that say they train up here.
Yeah,
like,
dude,
it's insane.
No joke. And I think the wellness class is going to start off with a softer look, and it's going to go into a very moderately hard, big legs, you know, different posing women's physique.
Right, which is going to probably pull away from that wellness look from South America and go more into a physique look, but the legs are gigantic.
100%.
You know what I mean? But it just becomes more like bodybuilding physique, which they got rid of bodybuilding in the women's side for a reason, but it's just like they could keep leaning and going in that direction every time.
You can't keep running from it. You know, I know that they're bringing back bodybuilding at the Olympia. So, but even if they try to bring back bodybuilding at the regional level, there's going to be nobody doing it.
Nobody. No.
There's
no girls that want to do this anymore.
And I don't blame them. You know, you have the other classes, they're more of a pleasing look. They don't have to take, let's be honest. They don't have
drugs,
to. Yeah, man. And, you know, respect to the ones that do. Respect to the ones that do that class. But for me, it's like, I don't think women should be doing a lot of things that these women are doing.
Right.
But, you know, I don't know where they're going to be going by bringing back women's bodybuilding now with these other classes.
And even on a career side, like the bodybuilding women, the big ones, like they're not going to get a modeling career. They're not going to get a social media career. A lot of them will end up stuck doing porn, like for the most part. So it's kind of like, it's a shame. But yeah, I don't see any. I see one or two maybe showing up at an amateur show, and that's like a big size show, and that's it. Like it's just gonna be. It's kind of like when classic physique came out for men, and then nobody does bodybuilding anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was going. That's what I was talking about with the teen bodybuilding anymore. These kids, they don't want to do bodybuilding. It doesn't appeal to them. You know, they do classic, they do physique, and that's enough for them. You know, it's sad. I hate watching it happen because we're watching people say, "Oh, bodybuilding's coming back. Bodybuilding's better than." No, I'm sorry. I'm not bashing bodybuilding. I love bodybuilding. I live bodybuilding. It's what I do for a fucking living. But it is not what it was, and these classes are taking away from it.
No, it's just if you can, it's I don't know where the idea of that classic is sucking your stomach in and you're automatically classic.
Exactly. If you stuck your stomach in and you have a little bit of muscle, you're all of a sudden classic. That's not classic.
When at the end of the day, classic physique is you're either born with it, right, with a certain structure, and then it blows up, or you're not.
Exactly.
That's fucking it. You're not gonna make your hips shrink and magically create a V-taper and create a round quad if your quad's not made to be that fucking round and it's just not gonna happen.
You know how many
just not.
have not hired me because they would come to me, okay, whatever, we would talk about coaching. All right, so what are your goals? What do you think? I think I'm going to do classic, this and that. And they'll send me pictures. And I'll be like, from my experience, you don't have classic. You got to take the time and build yourself into bodybuilding. And they hear that and they don't want to work with me because of that. It happens to me very often, very, very often, because I'm not taking somebody's money,
right.
telling them you're going to do great in this class when I know they don't belong there.
Yeah.
I'm truthful with everything I say. And when you tell them you need to take more time and grow into the class you belong in, they don't want to hear that. And that sucks, man.
It does. But again, it's pushed to them because you tell them the truth, but the 15 other people told them no.
Exactly.
It's the other way around.
Yeah.
And to them, their idea is if I do this side, it'll be a lot quicker for me versus the other.
That's exactly what goes on, and it is sad to see, to be honest.
It is. But we'll see, man. I mean, there's even like on the bodybuilding side, like the mass monster side is there's very little guys, man. It's not the same. I mean, you only get 15, guys, if you're lucky, 20 on a national level now to show up for heavyweight or super heavyweight.
And that usually used to be every call out almost was insane.
Yeah.
You're lucky if that whole first call out is crazy. And, like we're talking about, though, all this stems back to what we were just discussing about people training like pussies, people doing everything for social media, people not taking the correct time. And also, let's not forget about the bad information that's out there and the bad coaching too, because everybody's a coach today.
Correct.
And it all just ties into it, and people are taking more drugs than ever.
Yeah.
Drugs are a part of bodybuilding. Gear is a part of bodybuilding. There's no way around it. We're not going to sit here and be naive to it, but people are doing it on a level that they should not be doing it, and it's showing.
Because in the mindset, it's like, well, if I go down this route, I don't have to train so hard. I could just have a couple of cheat meals. I could have a couple of this, and I'm good. And I mean, think about it, like, it's funny, like, if any of the 90s guys, like Ronnie and all of them, like even Ronnie, like, let's think about Ronnie, right? How massive he got, how huge he was. Ronnie Coleman was gigantic. I mean, he was flat out, he was saying what he was taking had to come from a doctor, right? Because you had to show those scripts to the DEA, because the DEA would ask him.
He was a cop.
Right. So he was the cop, so he had to show those things what he was on medically. Well, you're not going to get no creative drugs from a doctor. Like, you're going to get basics.
There definitely wasn't. I have to play both sides from that one. So he was also covering himself too, because he was a cop.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely pushed things back then, but in Ronnie's case, he was just a freak of all freaks. I'm sure he pushed things, but he also had to cover himself too with the cop, with being a cop and whatnot. And but there were no special secrets back then, for sure.
No, not like the way you think now.
There was no special secrets. We have more special secrets today than back then. Why do people today look like shit?
Correct.
Think about it. All these different new drugs and these techniques and these special words. Why does everybody today look worse and bad? People say you bash bodybuilding when you say this. No, you do not. Pictures don't lie. Videos don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a lot of great bodybuilders say, oh, fuck yeah. But you look back, you look at the last call out of the 90s Olympias, early 2000 Olympias, you're like, oh, what the fuck? Today it's like, and even the national level shows, that was a whole different monster. So, it's, will it ever go back? No, because these classes are allowing it to, and people's egos and social media. But all we can do as athletes is be the best that we can be and put out the example that we want to put out, and hope that we can sway at least maybe a few people the right way.
True. Now, I was going to ask you, when you were getting ready for your nationals, when you were getting ready for the Easterns, what was like? Was it just a typical diet that you were doing, rice and chicken, or was there anything out of the ordinary, or meal wise and stuff like that, or just kept it simple?
I worked with Chad Nichols when I turned pro, and he was Ronnie's coach. He was Nasser's coach. He was every big guy's coach at one time. He is as simple as can be. Like it doesn't get him. Actually, Aceto gets more simple than him, but it was so straightforward. Cardio twice a day. We cut my cardio down. The diet was honestly just fish and veggies with some rice thrown in on some days to up the carbs, and that was really it. There was no like secrets or anything. At the end, things got a little wacky with the peak week, but you know, but the whole process, it was old school, like people call it.
Yeah.
No, but it was.
You know what's crazy? Like they call it old school, but it's like people think that it has to be some secret food that you're eating when it's literally the same fucking shit at the end of the day.
Cod, green beans, and white rice and potatoes. Sometimes there was no cheat meals. He would never give me a compliment, like ever. He would just my next plan, and I would hope that I look good.
Yeah.
And, but no, it was really nothing crazy, and I just trained my ass off, and I always responded to simple things anyway. Everybody normally does, but you know, people just need to have something exciting, and it doesn't need to be quote exciting. It just needs to do. You just need to do what works.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So are you getting ready for anything close nearby? Are you back to? Listen, you're in Cali, so I guess you're training back, but Vegas. I'm sorry. So are you thinking of anything? Because I know you've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I feel like it's one of those things where if you don't do it, you're gonna fucking hate yourself.
I got a funny story about that. So for years I've been talking about coming back, but everybody knows I've been all over the place mentally. But the past 2 years, I've been getting my life together, focusing on the coaching. My coaching would never take second to anything. However, I had my back surgery in 2018. Doctor said, you won't bodybuild again. I had the surgery. He goes, that surgery went pretty good. I was like, it was supposed to be 2 hour surgery. Before the surgery, he said, you're done. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's it. After the surgery, it was almost a 5 hour surgery. And did the checkups. He goes, you did pretty good. I'm like, okay. So tried training. It took me a long time after that to recover. Got back in the gym in August this past year, a year ago, actually. And I did great up until February. Then I had off because of quarantine. Moved to Vegas here in March. A big reason I moved to Vegas was to get back to competing. So I know I've sounded like a broken record for years saying I'm coming back, but it's happening. Like life couldn't be in a better position than I'm in now. Mentally, physically, spiritually, I'll throw in there too. And I'm 27, had a long time off, and I'm going to be competing next year. I'm not putting any pressure on myself and putting on a date because I'm still building myself up. I actually had some serious digestion issues for 8 months, to the point where I just wasn't progressing like at all.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was like severely sick. And recently I just resolved all them. So my body's responding again and whatnot. But I will be competing next year, 150%. So if everything went to plan like it was supposed to in 2016, I was supposed to be about 240 on stage.
Okay.
So I estimate by next year when I'm on stage, I'll be around 240, 245 on stage with better muscle maturity.
Yeah.
You know, now it's just about going through the process now and making sure I don't get hurt. But yeah, no, I am really coming back. And the reason is too, like people have supported me even since I've been out for the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
That meant a lot to me. And plus two, I need to lead example for my clients. And 3, I have unfinished business. And, you know, either that unfinished business wants to take me to Olympia now, we'll see. But I'm on it. I'm definitely fucking on it.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Well, listen, you could owe me. Everybody could owe me too. The only way it's not happening is if I die. So I gotta stay alive.
I think a lot of people are looking forward to it, man, and I think it's way overdue. So it would definitely be exciting to see that.
I appreciate that.
You just get the shit done. All right, just stop talking about it and get it done.
That's why I stopped talking about it for a while now. You know, people ask, I say it. That's why I just been working at it. You know, and it was a big reason why I moved here, was to surround myself by people who are in the same mindset. I mean, you have Jay out here. You have everybody out here. I'm close to California, better environment, better gyms, cost of living. I've set myself up to make it as painless and easy as possible, and even more enjoyable. But no, it's going to happen next year. Yeah.
All right, good, bro, good man. Look forward to it for sure, man. With the coaching, with everything about coaching, let's see, okay, with everything that you do with coaching, where was the point where you were like, let me try coaching? And then where was the point where it's like, you know what, this is it. This is what I'm made to do.
So it's actually a funny story because my first client was when I was 16 and it was my dad. And I didn't do it. Nope. There was no online coaches back then. You had Factory, you had all the big names. And anyways, week after my first show, he was like fasting. He just quit. He was quitting smoking, cold turkey, 3 packs a day. He goes, I think I want to put some muscle on. So he goes, can you help me? I'm like, I guess. I'm like, all right. So he starts going to the gym and he starts eating. A month after that, he goes, I think I'm going to compete. Mind you, this is a month after try. The images in my head, because we were sitting in my old house at the counter. I was like, okay. I'm like, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And he goes, but there's one stipulation. I go, what? He goes, I want you to prep me, nobody else. He goes, I want you to learn what Factory does. I want you to do what he does. And I was like, okay. He goes, just don't kill me. I don't know how I didn't kill him, though. I don't know how he made it through that alive.
I feel like you probably fucking killed him with the diet, man.
Bro, so I'll talk about that briefly, too. Anyways, he did compete a year and change later, and he won his classes at the Connecticut Europa. And I don't even know how he looked the way he looked. He looked damn good. Yeah. But that was at a time, too, he was working 7 days a week, 10, 14-hour days, some days. I had him on 3 hours of cardio a day for 8 weeks. Zero carbs, zero. Wow. No meals, no nothing. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I thought that was old school. I thought that's what you do.
Oh, my God.
And then he did transform, and he competed. And I don't know how I didn't kill him the last week. So he's like he's like me. He gets more energetic in prep. Me during prep, I get more focused. I get more creative. I get more philosophical. My outlook on life is amazing. I'm even better. I was even better coach when I prep people, which is weird. And him, every Sunday, he would cook, because since he couldn't eat, he would cook his homemade sauce, make Zeppelis, all this crazy shit. He would go to work, he'd be all happy, be excited, he'd be fucking posing everywhere. It was weird as fuck seeing a 46-year-old dad wearing a tank top in the street, posing in front of Manhattan windows, looking at the veins in his arm.
Are you serious?
Dude, he was loving it. And in my head, I'm like, this is like weird for some reason. At the time, I'm like, my dad's looking for sunlight so he can see the veins in his legs and arms in the middle of Manhattan. I'm like, what is going on? But we changed his life, though, because it also made us very, very close, too. I mean, that's my best friend. And, he wound up competing. And what I did with the diuretics, I don't know how he didn't die. I started him in Diza like 4 days out. I started him on Dactyl like 8 days out.
Wow.
There was no water for 3 days. None. Zero.
None?
None. And he was still acting totally normal. None. No salt either. I didn't do any salt. And how he didn't die or get organ failure, I don't know. And it sucks, too, because she competed for 2 years. And then my mom got sick with her first trigeminal neuralgia, which was before the cancer, and he had to stop. But I did that almost all his shows. And in fact, they tell me, you're making him too flat. You're making him too flat. And I'm like, I couldn't grasp the concept.
Yeah.
However, it was a blessing in disguise because I realized that, okay, wow, this is the difference between flat and full. And I learned a lot. And then people just started throwing money at me to help them. Like, I wasn't advertising it. People would be, I remember, I'll never forget, my first client was this woman out in Long Island. I had to borrow my parents' car because I didn't have a car. I was 16, 17. And I drove all the way out to Long Island. I drove an hour and a half. And this lady paid me $800. And to prep her for, she stopped it for like a month. I remember, I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why do people go to help them? Like, I mean, this is pretty cool. And for years, it was a side thing. And I got the crash course learn early. And of course, I've learned from some of the best in the industry, and I got close to so many people. And actually, it was another brief story of how I got into full time. 2017, I was in mentally a rough part of my life, and it was going on for a year and a half. My 2 brothers left for the army. I'm like, you know what? Fuck everything. I'm going. What am I doing? I'm not doing anything in my life. And I was trying to get ready for the Ferrigno Classic that year. And I'll never forget, my ex-girlfriend got my car totaled, and I couldn't afford a car. And I'm like, well, I'm getting ready for a show. I don't have money to afford a car. What am I doing with myself?
Right.
Fuck this. I'm going to the Army. I had a hand tattoo. I got removed. Spent 6 months getting into running, calisthenics, studying. After 6 months, I'll never forget, it was a cold, cold December morning. I had to wake up to go work for my dad doing concrete.
Mm-hmm.
That was miserable as is. And then I checked in with the recruiter that day. And he got nasty. He goes, you can't be rushing this. You have until you're 34, this and that. I'm like, I don't have until I'm 34. I'm giving everything up for this. No, you can't rush this. You can't be doing this. So I'm like, I was down in the dumps for a bit. I'm like, and then Joe Binley, he goes, Dom, he goes, you could be doing this full time. He goes, start posting more. Treat it more like a business. I hate calling it a business. I don't like calling it a business, but he said that. And then March 2018 is when it became, I got so busy, it became a full-time thing. Gotcha. And before that, it was a side thing, and I didn't want it or imagine it to grow into a full-time thing. I guess I'm humble too, because even with bodybuilding, I didn't want to turn pro till later. And that's when it became my full-time career. It's all I have time for. All my time really does go into my clients. And, last year, 2 pro cards. I have an uncountable amount of top 5 finishes on the national level, even ever since I was young. Can't count how many overalls and regional shows and the amount of transformation of regular people. And I really am grateful for, all the loyal clients who stuck with me throughout the years. And, it was a learning process for them, and it was especially a learning process for me. And I'm very, I'm real grateful to be in the position I am, because I really do love what I do.
Yeah.
And year has been a bummer for me because there was no shows going on and now guys are competing. I live for, even my clients that don't compete, I love like that chase for whatever it is they're chasing, their goal. If they're serious, you know me, Pat. If they're serious, I'm serious. If you show me you're not serious, I don't care. I have people that may never go pro. I have people that don't even compete that give me 100%, and they're getting my energy. Mm-hmm. And this year, with the whole COVID thing and everything, and no shows going on, it was a bit hard for me too, because I guess I live for this shit,
Yeah.
And so many people not training, so many people losing their jobs and not being able to do anything, So I'm glad everything's opening up. But it was basically unintended for me to get into coaching. I could blame my dad.
Gotcha. So your dad helps out with everything.
It's almost like he's seeing the future at that counter. And he goes, I want you to learn this, and I want you to do this.
Yeah.
And I was okay.
That day he set you up for everything going forward.
Yeah, man. That was 11 years ago. It was 11 years ago.
Yeah. And there's, what, it's and you know it too, man. It's impossible to do anything else if you want to be a good coach. Like, I mean, we already know in the industry, the premium coaches, like, come on, man. Once you get over a certain clients, man, you ain't fucking coaching, dude. Especially if you're running multiple other things.
Yeah.
Like, we a lot of these guys are either using somebody else to do the basic programs and send them out, or their wives or girlfriends and so forth. So
I take pride in it, because I know, and I know a lot of people that have their wives doing stuff. I get people all the time who come to me. Oh, would you maybe like to work together? No, I don't care if I can make. I don't care how much more money I can make with people working under me. It's not me doing it. I have to be able to do it. I'm not overseeing what you're doing. I have to be able. So if something gets fucked up, it's on me. I'm a very self-accountable person. If it's fucked up, it's on me. I don't want anybody else in charge of it. I take great pride in what I do, and I can't teach what I do. That's why when people come to me and they ask me all these questions, I'm like, listen. No disrespect, nothing personal. You came to me to help you get in the best shape of your life. You didn't pay me to mentor you. And to be honest, I can't explain everything I do to you, because it's all experience. And there's people that say, oh, if you can't explain what you do, you're not good at what you do. All right, well, humbly speaking, look at the results.
Look at the results, yeah.
You tell me if I know what I'm doing. And it's just, you can't teach the stuff I've been taught and the stuff I've experienced. And a lot of people bet you can't read from a book.
Do you get a lot of guys plagiarizing you?
It has slowed down a bit, because I call people out like that. But over like the past few years, there was like a lot of people who thought they could, and it's a small industry, and everybody knows somebody, and people would always come to me with stuff who have done that. And it's like, dude, at least there was somebody recently, and I think he thought he was smart. I thought he felt he was cool by posting his check-in form online. Dude, it was my fucking check-in.
Wow. Wow.
It was the same coloring, everything. I'm like, it was rewritten. I'm like, dude, I understand you want to do this. First, the kid didn't even compete, never competed, never done anything in college. I'm like, with all due respect, you shouldn't even be charging people to do this, but at least, at the most, don't use my check-in form. It's like, dude, it's like such silly shit, you know? And that's one thing, too, I take great pride in. I've worked personally with a lot of coaches, and I would never use something that they didn't explain to me and I didn't know exactly how it worked.
Right.
Because if it backfires, I'm an asshole. People pay me for my experience, my knowledge. They're not paying me to learn from whoever I coached with.
Right.
You know? So I take great pride in the experience I have and everything I've learned. And I still have a lot more to learn, like we all do. But you know, the plagiarizing thing, it was a problem for a while. But people know, like, I'll call you out.
I could imagine how bad it is now too in general, just because everybody's a fucking coach. Everybody.
It's like, why would you want to be like somebody else? Like, I take great pride in being different than everything is unique. It's me. That's how I know if something's being used and it's mine. I know it's me.
Right.
I'm not a copy of nobody, so I know where it came from, you know, and shame on you for doing that. You know, how are you supposed to learn by copying somebody else? You can't.
I know. But again, everybody's just trying to make the quick buck, so that's what they're going for.
That's what kills me too. Like, listen, can you make a great living off coaching? Yes. I hate calling it a business. I don't look at it like a business. Yes. Do I need to get paid on time? Of course. Do I have bills to pay? Of course. But like what I've learned from an early age, when you love something, money is a side effect of your passion. It shouldn't be the main driver. If helping people is your passion, then money isn't the main driver of your passion. Money is a side effect of what you love to do and helping people. And this is how it happened organically. I helped people for free for a long time. And then people just started throwing money at me. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is cool. I can do something I really like and get paid for it, you know?
Yeah.
But that's why people today, they're like, my business. Your business ain't going to, you know what? Shit always floats to the top. Your business is not going to last because you're in the wrong place to consider this a business.
Yeah. It has to be, it's like a brand thing, right? So even like, you know, even for, you know, like the store that I have, I don't even look at the store. It's me representing the brand. So every day what I do is try to help people and prevent them from the fucking money I wasted when I was younger, the fucking dumbass knowledge that was given to me I was younger, to help them in that direction. And the end result is, if they see that it works, then they come back to me. The initial part, it don't matter if they buy anything in me in the store. I don't really care. But if they listen, right, and get the advice and it resonates, then that's a win. Like, it doesn't feel like you're at work. You're just doing what you know.
I'll break for you. I've been in your store a couple of times now, and I've seen you work with your customers. And what you just hit it right in the head. And I learned that as well from Steven Natchabody when we had a store. People want to be able to resonate and be on somebody's level. They want to learn. They want to be understood. They want to be listened to. You're in the business of helping people. You're helping them with their health. You're helping them with their body. You're helping them with their mind. And these are so, like, you can change people's lives. You can change somebody's life without realizing it. So I've seen you talk to your customers and you get very personal. You talk to them as if you've known them for 5 years. You listen, you understand, you ask questions. And that's how it should be, especially in the supplement industry, which is such a cutthroat, money-driven industry. You know, a store like yours is rare, and I've seen it firsthand, but that's how it's done, because you know what? They're going to leave that store and be like, you know what? That guy, Pat, he's a real cool, he's going to go tell his friend, you know, go see Pat. He's a real cool dude. He really helped me, you know, and then it goes on from that, and it goes on from that. You know, you put your heart into something, and your intentions are genuine in your heart, it always shines through, and I believe in that, you know, and that's like you handle your customers like I've seen.
Yeah, I definitely. It's big, man. It's big. I've always believed that, man. I always try to explain that to people too, man. Dude, I just spent so much years in corporate world, man, and it's fucking corporate world sucks ass, and it just, you're always miserable. Listen, at the end of the day, if you don't do something for the right reason, you're gonna be miserable. If you're doing something just for money, you're not going to be happy. If you're doing something because you love it, and the reward is that the individual coming back. Like the best days I have is somebody comes back and be like, yo, dude, holy shit, what you told me works. It actually works. I'm like, that's great, man. That's what's up. That right there is worth so much, like so much. You know what I'm saying? Just somebody coming back is like, wow, everything you explained actually happened. Or holy shit, I actually lost a little bit of weight because I made these adjustments. Or wow, I actually like just the look, right? It's like, you know, when we were kids, we got a toy, right? And it like was the best thing ever. It's like them. It's like, holy shit, you gave me a toy. Like you gave me something that I love.
So these are adults. You're giving some people, you're giving them back their youth in a lot of ways. You're giving them back life. You're giving them health. You're giving them confidence in how they look, and it affects your saving relationships. People are gonna think I sound nuts, but I'm sure you'll agree. You're saving relationships. You're saving marriages in some way. You're saving people, and you know it all stems off that simple conversation you have by just caring and understanding somebody in your store.
No, it's true, because if a person internally isn't happy, they're going to make everybody else unhappy. Everybody around them is going to be unhappy, and every person that steps through the door is stepping because they want help. Every person that steps through that door and chose to step through that door, besides clicking on a computer and reading some fucking bullshit reviews about an $80 fucking product on Amazon that literally has nothing in it whatsoever, did it because they want to be treated and informed of the information. And then shame on the individuals out there who take advantage of that and fucking still selling shit, you know what I mean, and still fill their mind with bullshit. So yeah, you know, we understand exactly what we're talking about. So last thing, man, I want to touch base about Olympia. All right, what do you think, man? What do you think for this year? Because I have my own predictions, but what are you thinking?
So I have to say first, I wish the Olympia wasn't happening this year, and the reason I say that is we just had a year of no shows. We still have a travel ban in place. It is so unfair to the guys who aren't able to train, who haven't been able to train, who haven't been able to qualify in their terms. Sure, there's guys out there who are out of money, and the guys that should have been on that, everybody that should have been on that stage will not be there this year. And I try to look at it from my perspective too. If I have been competing and I was in a position where I should have been on that stage and I couldn't with the current circumstances, I would have been like heartbroken.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really wish they pushed it off this year to next year. Let everybody just get themselves together and we make next year just the biggest fucking year ever and make bodybuilding how it should be. And, you know, so I have to put that disclaimer on there. But, you know, is the Olympia, I have to be honest, I'm not crazy excited about the Olympia because everybody won't be there.
I know.
And it's not only just for the competition, you know, side of things, but, you know, I really feel bad for the athletes who just can't be there, that have worked their ass up most of their life for this moment. And, you know, God forbid some of those guys may not get this moment again. And, but anyways, with my predictions, I'm not even going down. With my predictions with Olympia, you know, Phil's coming back. As much as I don't, you're screaming at Black.
You're good. You just moved. Got it. Yep.
You know, as much as I don't care for Phil as a person and how he's treating me when I was a teenager, he's probably going to win the entire show because he just had a year off, a little more than a year off solid. He's got his hernia fixed. He is a freak of nature, and this is his show to win. If he comes in off, well, shame on him because he should win the next 3 Olympias. He could win the next 3 Olympias if he wants after this break he just had. I mean, he's going to be fresh. Everything's going to be firing. At least I think he should because there was nothing wrong with him before other than his hernia. Brandon Curry, I know he's going to come in. He's, you know, coming off his win last year. I know he's going to come in a lot better, but it's going to be tough to beat Phil. I mean, Rami, I wish I had my faith in Rami. I mean, Rami, I'm still a Rami fan. I posted
he won't, no matter how peeled he is, if, like, in my opinion, he gets peeled and then gaps start showing because he's so big.
That's the thing. I've been saying for years he needs Chad Nichols. He needs Chad Nichols. And they were offered to Arnold, given. We still have, once Chad gets in that mode and he gets somebody set, they're locked in. And I feel if Rami came in at the Rami who Ronnie should be, nobody should be able to beat him.
Right.
But it's just hard to say now just because it keeps happening. You know, who else do we have in the show?
Flex.
Flex. I fucking love Flex. He's you know, I consider him a friend. He supported me since I was 18, and him, like, I have to say, he's gonna be in that top 3. He's 100% gonna be in that top. I mean, shit. If
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if he gave Phil the run for the money, because a flex, like I was even talking to John about that, a flex at 230 is, there's no gaps. Like he makes most of just about every pose. There's not a single hole. Like it's just, but and the other thing is too is, so Phil has that belly muscle that's huge and round. Flex is grainy and huge and round. So he can technically outmaneuver on conditioning side when it comes down that deep. And imagine if he actually did, and imagine if he was.
I would be the happiest because he is. I love Flex. He's such a good fucking guy. He's been such a good friend to me, and I would be so happy. This will actually be my first Olympia in person. Now that I live here,
oh, that's right. You can go, yeah.
All these years, so I'm going to be there. So that'll be awesome. But you know, if Phil comes in off, and Flex comes in 100%, Flex will push him because Flex, when he was doing the 212, he came in hard from the back, but some shots were softer.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think he's coming in a little bit soft on some shots because of the suck down. They're trying to avoid the inevitable where his body just wants to go up. So now there's no limitations. So he can be big and he can be hard as fuck without having to force his body and stress his body to suck down. And he is thick, you know.
I noticed too when he gets down really low, he loses some of that leg size.
Oh yeah, he loses some pop all over. I mean, another good example of Derek Lunsford, 6 weeks out, amazing. Goes down to 212, he disappears. It's not impressive, you know. But with the open class, you know, Flex, he could definitely push things. Who else do we have there? Hunter. So Hunter Labrada, I got to talk about Hunter. Pictures do him no justice.
Did he look even better?
Oh, dude, pictures did nobody any justice at that show. But Hunter, when he walked out, he was at 85% that show. And he walked out, and I couldn't help but to look, and I'm like, I knew he was off. And I'm like, this kid is going to be dangerous one night. He's going to be hard. And he walked out. I mean, his conditioning was excellent. He was big. I mean, he had this bubbly look, and he was off. So now he'll have a rebound going into the Olympia where he can put on a few more pounds for sure. And hopefully they'll nail his conditioning at the Olympia. And I believe Hunter could push that top 8 in the Olympia.
Yeah.
That's that
huge.
He was that impressive in person.
Wow. Who else is there? I can't even think of anybody else that would pop out that could even. I mean, Dexter's going to be typical, probably in the top 5.
Dexter will be in the top 5. Actually, I mean, shit. Dexter could even be in the mix to win as well because we had Brandon Curry win last year. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't put Dexter in the mix if he's better than ever right now.
I don't know if he could beat Phil though. Phil overpowers him too much.
It feels off. These are all what ifs. It feels off. It feels on. Nobody's touching Phil.
Yeah.
It feels on. Nobody's touching Phil. It's just,
you know what? And if Phil wins, it's kind of be like, yeah, you won, but there were still people missing that could have gave you a challenge.
Exactly. I mean, you have what's his name?
Heidi or
Heidi. I think he was going to do the open class. I mean, he's deadly. Can he beat Phil? No, but I don't know. We don't know. We haven't seen any pictures of him either. You know, he's another one. I don't believe he'll be able to be there. William Bonac, I don't think he could be there either. You know, he's in the Netherlands right now. There's a band in Europe.
Yeah. But what about, will Flex be able to come down from England?
Flex in Florida.
Oh, he's in Florida? I thought he was in England.
Yeah, no, he's in Florida.
Oh, he's good then.
Yeah, no, he's near Boca. Yeah, he has his whole gym down there.
Oh, okay, then never mind then. Forget it.
Yeah, no, he's been out of England for a while. If he was in England, he wouldn't be able to come down.
Yeah.
Nathan Diasha, I'm a big Nathan fan physique-wise. He's been off the last few times. He did best with AJ Sims, in my opinion, the Kuwait crew. He got away from Jansen. So if he's able to travel and come in, He'll be in that top 8 mix for sure, especially with how much he improves. Who else do we have there? Shit. See, this is a probably we don't even have a confirmed list yet either. You know, that throws everything up in the air.
And anybody else that's showing up, it's like you're just kind of showing up.
Pretty much. You know, no disrespect to them, but it's they're going to be fighting for the rest of those spots after those guys for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the 212 class. If you want to touch on the 212 class, George Peterson looks great. He's going to have he has about 5 more pounds to grow into the class between Tampa and the Olympia.
It's. I mean, if Hadi did it, he'd be it nonstop.
Well, I don't even think Hadi's doing the 212 anymore.
Well, he's doing the open. He's staying just in the open.
He is,
wants,
right?
It's more money. Yeah, it's more money for him that way anyway. Way more money for him.
He'll be right in the mix over there. You know, George, you got Derek Lunsford, but Derek, he has to go up to the open class. He can't keep doing the same thing. Sean Clarita, he's knocking at that door. You have Kamal though. Kamal, who won last year. People keep forgetting about him.
Yeah.
You know, if he's on, that's if he can travel though. I don't know.
The traveling is going to be that traveling ain't happening.
I don't
you're not
living for a while.
Listen, you're not traveling unless you're the elite rich, which we see now can do whatever they want, while all of us, the peasants, are stuck fighting for crumbs while they get to just still live their normal lives.
Whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. But I would. I'm actually rooting for Flex. I really would like to see him.
Too.
That would be some fucking. That'd be some excitement. That would actually be excitement.
Oh yeah, we haven't had anything exciting like that in a while.
Because Phil winning is okay, great. Like you just kind of showed up and what to do, hand it to you. Like
pretty much.
So yeah, it'll be exciting, man. But yeah, man. Anything else from your side, brother?
No, I think we pretty much hit everything. You know, we expanded the topics we even planned on. You know, I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. Thanks
up.
Thanks again for jumping on, man. Again, this is a way I'm trying to have people have access. Well, not access, but also meet pros and meet people in the industry that are actually relevant and doing something that's correct. Besides just when I have events and I bring pros in and stuff like that. So thanks again, man. I'll definitely message you throughout the day. And again, it was a pleasure. Guys, check out Dom on his Instagram page. Everything's posted. He's definitely one of the top national coaches, pro coaches that's out there, especially if you're looking to hit that level, man. He's the guy to speak to. So check him out. And Dom, thanks again, brother.
Thank you, dude.
All right. See you, man. Thank you.